You are listening to the Bright Life Podcast, all about ways to stay inspired, chase your dreams, and find more gratitude in the highs and lows of the journey. I'm your host, Jessica Johnson. I'm a business owner, a part-time digital nomad, a self-growth junkie, a believer in other big-hearted women, and am all about sharing tips, tricks, lessons learned, and encouragement so we can all live our biggest, brightest lives. You ready? Let's do this. Hey girl, hey, I am so excited to be chatting with you this week. This week I wanted to dive deeper on something that we just started to touch on at the end of last week's episode, but I thought it was so important that it really deserved its own episode. If you have a dream on your heart, maybe to start a business or a podcast or a blog or any other thing that you want to birth into this world, but you ever have that thought that, like everyone's done it before, or the market's too saturated, or I don't have anything new to add to this, this episode is for you. It's really important that you get this distinction because it's changed how I think about business, how I think about whatever I want to create. It's given me a lot of confidence in terms of bringing something new into the world, and I hope that it can do the same for you. So here's what I want you to think about. I once heard this from Marie Forleo. She described it this way, where she was never really into health food growing up. You know, she had her mac and cheese phase. Even as an adult, she just loved fast foods, those kind of things. And then when she met her husband, he was so on the health train. But for her, it just wasn't her thing. Like, she was like, I will stick with my food. You can have your green juice. That's not my thing. Well, eventually she ended up meeting this woman named Chris Carr and became friends with her. And Chris, if you don't know, she's a cancer survivor. She's a best-selling author. She's really into healthy living, and it's part of her journey with cancer and everything like that. And so Marie Forleo starting to like smoothies and green juices, and she was telling her husband about it all enthusiastically, and he was like, what? Like, I've been telling you about this for years. And she's like, no, Chris, Chris told me this, Chris told me that. And the thing about it is, she was never going to get it from her husband, but she got it when Chris talked about it, because of the way Chris talked about it and because of their relationship. And I even think about this like with my husband, where if he is looking up finance or investing or travel, whatever the topic is, he is going to find someone completely different on YouTube than I will, right? And he will go and watch them for hours and absorb all the information he can. But for me, I'm attracted to someone completely different, even about the exact same topic and information. And so I want you to think about that for yourself and your audience. There are some people out there who will only hear it from you. There's some people out there who will only have it land or have it click when you teach it the way that you want to, or when you write about it the way that you do, or when you share your message and your story and your histories and experiences. And so if there's anything where you feel like, it's too saturated out there, or someone's already done this, yes, that's true. Like, there's a million voices out there. But the thing is, you're going to bring this new perspective to it. No one has lived the life that you have lived. No one's had your experiences. No one has had the stories that you've worked through and the mindset hurdles that you have overcome. No one has your way that you like to do things or way you like to talk to people. If you give two people the exact same business, whether it's selling jewelry, whether it's cleaning homes, whether it's fixing cars, anything, they're going to do it completely different. It's going to look different with the branding and the colors and the messaging. They're going to want to attract a different audience based on who they feel really called to serve and help or work with. They are going to have different pricing based on what they're comfortable with or what kind of audience they want to go after. The businesses will turn out so completely differently. And so just remember that if there's something that you're hesitating to do because there's so much noise out there already, there's someone who's only going to get it when you do it the way you do it. And when you share your story from your heart and something about that really connects and makes them stand up and say, wait, that's my story, or that sounds so familiar. And I think it's another reason why when you're creating something, you want to do it in as you of a way as you can. I think there's a little bit of a tendency whenever you're starting something new to look to the leaders in the industry or your friends or people who have done it before and see what they're doing and try and model that because you assume that it's working, right? You're like, they must know something. But what I think is actually a more effective strategy is, sure, you can pull basic overarching strategies maybe or processes from them, but really do things the most you way that you can. So look at reels and see if there's a way that you can do reels that feels good to you. You don't have to dance if that's not your thing. You don't have to do stand-up comedy type things. What's the you way that you could do that? If you are jumping on discovery calls, and I made this mistake for a long time, early in my entrepreneurial days, of just feeling like I had to follow a certain script or check certain boxes. And for me, it totally put me out of alignment and made it really hard to feel good on the calls and to even close them and get clients, because it just wasn't my way of doing things. I'm very personable. I like to really get to the heart of things. I don't like to oversell people. I like to kind of honor that they'll do things when they're ready. And so for me, that's when I really hit my stride with doing discovery calls and just leading from this genuine place of here's who I am, here's what I know, here's how I can help, and really just believing in that. And then that's when people could feel that difference in the energy and really wanted to play and wanted to work together and that kind of thing. So even for your website, what colors speak to you? What language? How would you say something to a friend if that's your, picture that for your audience and just let that come through in your writing. I tell my writers this all the time for my agency, is just, if you're having trouble getting started, picture how you would just say this to your friend, to your mother, to your grandmother. How would you just say it? And then that kind of gets you out of your head and you can just write from the heart how you would actually explain something to someone that you know. I think it's really just important to remember that a lot of things have already been done out there, but they've never been done by you. They've never been done in your way, in your voice, in your style, in your personality. And so just remembering that that is really going to be this beam that calls out to the right people and that really makes things click for them. So remember that they may have heard it from everyone else a million different ways before, but if they're still searching, if they're still browsing websites and trying to figure this out in their life and trying other approaches, it means they're still looking for the answer. And if you have it, you have to get out there and share it in only the way that you can. So don't worry about the competition. Stay in your lane, do things your way as you can, and know that you are the one who's going to make it click for someone out there. And you have to get out there and you have to share your voice because they're waiting on you. All right? I hope that this inspires you and gives you the push. If you've been waiting and watching and seeing everyone else do it, you got to be part of that conversation. We want you out there. There's someone who really needs you out there too. I recently created a free bonus for listeners that I'm super pumped about. It's a 7-day workbook to create your biggest, brightest life, full of exercises I use to bring my dreams to life, work through fears, and take inspired action. You can download it for free at bit.ly/podcast bonus, just as a thank you for listening. If you love this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you leave a review or share it with a friend. That helps so much with discoverability so others can find it too. Thank you so much for listening in. I'll talk to you next Thursday.